Hello, happy Monday. So excited to be here. I am here to do a quick training on what's required to play in the arena with the big boys and the big girls because I get a lot of questions on how do I get my business from just doing about 10,000 months to 30K. So you really want to scale your business. If that's you, if scaling feels very unclear to you, if your revenues have been just about 10K and you're asking yourself, how do I get to 30K months and scaling with scientific precision? This is for you. And this episode has actually been inspired by what did I watch? I watched an episode on HBO. It was the documentary on being Serena Williams. So if you haven't watched it, go and watch it. And I was like, I need to now translate what Serena Williams went through into how that applies into business growth strategy. So this is what does it require to play in the arena of the big boys and the big girls, because there's a reason why they dominated the market. And so it's important for each and every one of us to understand that concept well enough. If you're very new to my community, to my Instagram or Facebook and my Facebook group, my name is Maureen Wangi. I am a brand growth strategist. And right now, I am the CEO and founder of Started Consulting, which is a consulting agency that's dedicated to teaching e-commerce entrepreneurs the sales and marketing strategies they need to scale their beloved product brands into household names. So if you have a pen and paper, grab that, start taking some notes. And if you're watching live, just put the notes in the comments just so we can help our neighbor out, because I really want us to understand what is required to actually scale, to actually grow. Because at this point in your journey, you feel like I have gotten to 80K, 100K a year, but things just feel tough. Like, how do I make more products? Like, how do I get more audience? Like, I know, so things are feeling very unclear. And I want to show you that you already have a proven model, but what will take you from growth to scale is really understanding three things. The number one thing is, and I'm going to say this with so much love, especially because I saw what Serena Williams went through, is you really have to have the resolve and the decisiveness to do this. Why do I say this? Because before you got to this point where you have consistent sales, you're having customers ordering from you on repeat, you're having custom sales trickling in, a lot of it felt like a happy accident. A lot of it felt like, hey, I was just creating a product to help my niece, my nephew, or to help myself. And everybody told me that I need to start selling. So it was a hobby. It was something that you were turning your passion into potentially purpose. But now it just feels like, am I ready to do this? And and one thing that allows people to scale to the level that they really, really want to is being decisive, but more importantly, having the right resolution that they're willing to do this no matter what. And going back to being Serena, the episode 5 was talking about resolve, because she hadn't played tennis for a period of time. She became a mom, and then now she wanted to get into competing and really showing people that you can both be an athlete and still be a mom. But when she was training for the Grand Slam, her coach was constantly telling her that, hey, Serena, you have a lot of body fat that you're holding on because you're breastfeeding. And so the coach was like, we have to do two things. You either have to choose to continue breastfeeding or stop breastfeeding, because this process of breastfeeding is making you hold a lot of fat. So you're not moving as fast as you normally used to move. And that was one of the toughest things that she had to understand. And then the second thing that the coach also said is, hey, whenever we train in the US, you're not performing well. So what you're going to do is you're going to pack your bags and you're going to come to France with me and train with me in the tennis in the school, in the academy in France. What does that mean? Hey, Serena has a wife, has a husband, and also has an 8-month-old baby. And right now, you're telling me, the coach is telling her that we have to pack your bags from the US to go and train in France if you really want to win the Grand Slam. And secondly, if you also still want to win this, you have to stop breastfeeding because breastfeeding is making you hold a lot of fat in your body. And because she wanted to win so bad, because before this point, she had lost to her sister before, she had lost to to other players before in different competing spaces, and this was her time where she wanted to win. And the coach could see that Serena is not performing the way she used to perform. So at this very moment, she had to decide: am I willing to pack my bags with my 8-month-old baby and move to France in the academy? And secondly, am I willing to stop breastfeeding so that I can shed off the fat that I'm holding on to keep winning? And the part that really struck me was the part where she was told that she needs to stop breastfeeding for her to win. Why? Because she was doing everything. She was working out every single day, on average about 4 to 5 hours a day, and she was eating clean. But the only thing that was missing was the breastfeeding part that she was holding on to very dearly because it's for her baby. And that got me thinking, when we get into this business and we say we are ready to scale, are you ready to give up some of the things you've been holding on to in order for you to achieve some level of success? Are you ready to shift from maybe to yes? And if it's not yes, to a no as well. Because this decisiveness is what allows you to take the risks required to grow your business. If you're not willing, when I say this statement, I'm assuming you have some financial resources. If you're not willing to risk losing 15,000, 20,000 to grow your business, are you truly wanting to scale? If you're not willing to put yourself in uncomfortable situations to attract your audience, to be vulnerable, to show up for your brand, are you willing to actually scale? Because this is the thing. Many of us subconsciously say we want to scale, but we're not willing to fail we're not willing to fail and to risk our lives to achieve our deep dreams or desires. So underneath, it's always a maybe. I'm not going to do this as long as I'm not willing to lose this X amount of money. What that shows me is you're not fully committed. You're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And truly, the people who are very, very successful, fitness, you can think about Serena's example, business people that you really, really admire, brands that you really, really admire, the CEOs and the founders were willing to put themselves in situations where they could fail. And they were okay with failing because what happens? They do understand that this is not a failure, this is a situation where I'm going to learn something from it. And they turn that lesson to another win. And so if you want to play in this space, if you want to dominate your market, if you want to address your customer's problem and create a community around your brand, if you truly want to scale, do you have the resolve to do it? And my biggest challenge to you right now is don't give me a maybe. If you give me a maybe, it means that you're not all in. You want to have a yes or no answer. Yes, I'm willing to do this, and no, I'm not willing to do this. And be okay with your reasons for saying yes or for saying no. Because indecisiveness is what kills your dreams. Why? Because when you're indecisive, you become very impatient. When you become impatient, you start comparing yourself to other people. When you become impatient, you wallow into overwhelm and into confusion. But the reason why you're in this situation is because of two things. A, you're tolerating something that you shouldn't be tolerating. Or B, you're resisting something that you should be moving past that resistance. So ask yourself this question: what are you tolerating? Because at the end of the day, if you're tolerating something in your business, it means that you're not playing full out. Why? Because that thing you're tolerating is clouding you, is making things so unclear, is making processes in your business so complex. And what you're resisting doing is what is actually going to allow you to move past where you are. If you're resisting in investing in somebody who's really going to help you understand your numbers, set up your infrastructure so that you can scale efficiently without overworking yourself, that's what you need to do. Look at the amount of money that you're making in your business. Can you keep operating your business at your current state? But if you're tolerating operating in that current state, you're forever going to be stuck. So what do you need to do? You need to resist that you not investing in the support, or you not breaking things apart in your business for you to grow. And I want to say this for my people, because I know when you're in the growth stage, things in your business will feel broken. And when things in your business are broken, we as CEOs, somehow, some way, we end up experiencing grief. Why? Because we don't want to let go of things that have worked so well. But that is the process of growth. With growth comes grief. Why? Because what got you to this place is not going to get you to the next place. And you need to be decisive and have the resolve that you're ready to go all in, heads down, lose everything for you to create something. Because there are many people who will say, yes, I'm ready to do this. But trust me, if you're just doing the things that you need to do, you're just posting on social, you're just showing up, but you don't have the results to show me that, hey, I've risked this, B, I've failed here, C, I've put myself in a situation where I just don't know how to move, it shows me you don't have that resolve. Because just because you're doing what you're supposed to be doing doesn't mean that you're ready to go all in. And if you have that attitude, what happens? When something small appears in your day-to-day life or in a certain month that shows you that you're supposed to get out of this thing, you quickly find an exit strategy. And that's why being decisive is the number one skill everybody who is trying to move into the scaling stage has to understand. Because when you're scaling, what happens, let me explain you what happens from a financial standpoint so that you can see. At this point in time, your revenues and your sales are increasing at the same pace as your expenses. But the reason why this is happening is because at this stage, you're trying to create an operational infrastructure so that when you're scaling, your revenues are increasing, but your costs are remaining the same. Every time you're in growth stage, you're going to constantly feel like you're strapped for cash, because that's the stage of which your business is in. But this is not the stage to pull things out. Why? If you're investing in the right things, so your expense is going up, but this thing you're investing in is helping you increase your sales and your revenue, you're trending in the right path. Because eventually what you're going to get to, the part you're finally going to get to from a financial standpoint, is your costs are going to remain flat, but your sales are going to increase. But before you get to that exponential growth, everything is going to feel like it's moving parallel. But many people, when they feel like their revenues are increasing, but the expenses are increasing at the same time, what do? They pull out. And many times they pull out on the activities and the investments that are supposed to help increase their top line. And then what do? They go back and work on things on the back end that are increasing their operating expenses, but are not increasing their revenue. So you have to be very clear as to where you're putting in your money. Because this is another thing I was going to say in this stage. The second thing, if you really want to play with in the arena with the big boys, is You have to understand that an investment in yourself is going to yield the greatest ROI more than anything else. Why do I say that? Right now, potentially, you're a solo entrepreneur, right? You're doing everything on your own in order for you to hire a team eventually when you're in the scaling stage to support the demand of the demand in your business. So if you're the solo entrepreneur, companies that scale and scale really well, the CEO has or had a very clear understanding of how each department works, drafted SOP, standard operating measures, hired somebody, trained them, and delegated that task. How did that CEO master that level of efficiency in each department? Because they learned the process themselves. And how did they learn the process themselves? Some of them probably grinded their way out, made mistakes, and learned from their mistakes. Majority of the people invested in learning how to do something. Once they invested in learning how to do that thing, they became a master at that process. Once they became a master at that process, they could document what they were doing and delegate it to the team that you eventually see happening. But what happens in this stage? The people I talk to, you guys know, what do people want to do in this stage? The first thing they want to do is to delegate their marketing. The first thing they want to do is to delegate their marketing. And let me show you why this is actually incorrect in your business. Remember, for you to get to a point where you have traction, you're consistently doing 10K months, you've been guesstimating your way through things. You've been doing trial and error, just trying to see what sticks. Now you've gotten to this point in the growth phase where you have no clarity on what you need to focus on next. You have no clarity of what messaging was sticking, who's my audience, how do I follow up with my audience. So you want to delegate the number one thing that is going to make or break your business, which is marketing. Yet you yourself, you don't even have the clarity. Are you seeing how counterintuitive things happen in this stage? And that's why you need to get yourself into a room, get yourself a strategist, an advisor, a set of peers to guide you through this journey. Because you make the wrong things, instead of moving up, where do you move? You keep staying stuck. And you ask me, why am I stuck? First of all, one thing first, your cash flow. Don't even understand how you distribute your cash flows. Secondly, you don't even understand your expenses, you have an idea. Third, you're hearing people say you need to invest in X, Y, and Z. You quickly go and get a marketing agency, a marketing team. What does the marketing team do? Some are really good. They will guide you through that process of setting up your organic and your paid advertising. But others will just probably go and get another audience that they used for a brand that was synonymous to yours and come and lift and shift that same thing to yours, to your brand, of which that's incorrect. It's very incorrect because nobody has the exact same audience they're targeting and nobody has the exact same brand value proposition that they're selling. And I know that they may look similar, but they're targeting a different audience, or their messaging is also very, very different. So you delegate this. Well, you've increased your expenses. This marketing person didn't work well, so your revenue is not increasing. So now what do? Your profits and your margins become so thin, then you're in that hamster wheel. And that's why you have to understand it is the biggest investment is going to be in yourself. Why? Because true growth comes from outside of you being in your business. Why? Because you can't see what you don't know. And you don't know what you don't know. And I say this because for us women, we have this, we subconsciously we're like, you know what, I can do it on my own. I can figure it out. I can do this on my own. Granted, you will do it on your own. But then also you have to ask yourself, if I'm desiring to have a business that generates 300K, 500K, and eventually $1 million or gets into retail, am I going to guesstimate my way through this? I can tell you for sure, scaling is a science, it's not guesswork. Scaling is a science, it's not guesswork. And if this feels very foggy, this feels very unclear, get yourself in the room, book a call with me, let us chat. Because if you don't do things right in this stage, you quickly go back to where you are before. Then this thing constantly feels like a hobby. You don't know what sales levels you need to pull. You don't know what messaging resonates. You don't know how many quantities you need to be selling per month in order for you to consider running ads. Even before you start running ads, you're probably thinking about running ads because you're not breaking even or you're getting customers but nobody's coming back. That's a sure sign that your follow-up strategy is not in place. So you're seeing a symptom in your business, and then you're going to solve, you don't have the correct problem of what's happening. So you're not able to diagnose accurately what's going on in my business. So you go and fix the symptom instead of fixing the problem. And that's why you need somebody who's going to tell you, hey, this is how you look at things. If you want to be the smartest CEO, know how things work. Know what the numbers in your balance sheet mean. Know what the numbers in your profit and loss statement mean. Know what the numbers, your marketing numbers mean. Because let me tell you, nobody's going to fool you. Nobody is going to fool you. And in the event you end up losing your team, because as you're growing, the person you started with is not the person who's going to be with you, you'll still be able to pick up the slack, and things will run and nobody will notice anything went wrong. But if you don't invest in yourself, if you don't have this knowledge, if you don't have this level of mastery, you're going to always we're always going to go and find for solutions outside of yourself, when in reality, the answers are inside of yourself if you do this level of work. And then the third thing is, I want you to start loving profits. If you want to scale, I want you to start loving profits. Why? Because many of us get lost and get caught up in this whole revenue, sales. And of course, in this stage, you started this thing on the side, it got traction, and now you're just getting consistent sales. But before, for you just wanted to see sales. But now the question I usually ask is, what are your profits? Why? Because profit is what's going to allow you, first of all, to have the mental sanity as a CEO. B, it's what's going to allow you to continue being creative. It's what's going to allow you to innovate appropriately and eventually create a new product that ultimately scales your business rather than keeping your revenue stuck. And the only way you can learn how to love your profits is by really getting clear on your numbers. And I know many people will tell me, I don't like looking at my numbers. But my question to you is it that you don't know, you don't like looking at your numbers, or is it you don't know what those numbers mean? And if it's you don't know what those numbers mean, learn. Hire somebody to teach you how to do this. And there's a great person, Calmix, the CEO of Calmix, Kim Lewis. She did an episode on Facebook in Lamar Taylor's Facebook group, Traffic and Sales. And she really talked about how, first of all, she went to Shark Tank. So she sells hair products for women with curly hair. She went to Shark Tank, got an offer with the sharks, but the offer was going to make them compromise on their equity. And one thing she said, she was not going to ever give up the equity of her business. And so one of the questions Lamar Taylor was asking her was, what made you so smart in your business in such that you're willing to make some of those tough decisions and many CEOs are not able to make? And she said she invested in somebody who's going to teach her how to understand her numbers. It was a non-negotiable expense in her business. They started off on a monthly basis, then they shifted into a bi-weekly basis. Because she said if she knows if she knows what these numbers mean, it's easy to reverse engineer her business to scale the way she wants it to scale. Because this is the thing about not knowing your numbers. You avoiding your numbers is like not wanting to know how much gas you have in your car because you're busy joyriding. That's the best analogy I can give right now. Because at the end of the day, scaling is done through scientific precision. What does scientific precision mean? Looking and understanding your metrics, duplicating those efforts that worked, multiplying that, and then amplifying the results. But before we get to this point, because also I was quick to jump into the looking at your numbers and loving profits. But before we get to this point, even in this growth stage, because this is a process, like this is a process of a business. Before you get to 100K, you just want to make money. So you're making, and that's what I was saying. You just wanted to make money. You wanted to see if you can have a proven concept. Now, once you learn how to make money, the next thing you have to learn how to do is to manage that money. Why? Many of us, especially if you come from a place where I came from, where, honey, we are building businesses for entire society. Like, you're carrying your generation, you're carrying your children, you're carrying everybody and their grandmother. What you need to do when you start making money, oftentimes because it's come with hustle and grind, you want to reward yourself. When you reward yourself, what do you want to do? You buy an expensive bag, you buy an expensive shoe, you increase your expenses at home, like you get a bigger house, you get a bigger car. Why? Because before you never had money and now you have money, right? But the thing is, that's increasing your lifestyle, increasing your expense, and then everything that you had made, you lose it. So the next thing you need to learn how to do as a CEO, and let me tell you, if you're bootstrapping your way out of this thing, you're going to experience what I'm telling you. I've experienced it. You make your first few dollars, and then you increase your cost of living, you increase your expenses. Why? Because I never had this. Like, I never had none of this. And then now you realize, oh my God, now I had the money, I lost it, but I still know how to make it. So my next level of learning is learning how to manage it. Do you know how to live a life with 100K sitting in your bank account? Or do you see 100K in your bank account and quickly run to spend it? You have to now learn to sit in that financial abundance. Then once you've managed your money, now you're like, you know what? I have enough money in my personal savings, in my business savings, all around me, I'm secure. Then the next thing, you learn how to multiply. And now multiplying is, what are some of the efforts that I need to do in my business to allow me to multiply the money that I've managed? Now you're in a very good, stable position. And then now you shift into investing. That is the process of this whole entrepreneurship journey, and I hope I'm helping you see what you're all going to go through. Because at the end of the day, financial literacy, a deeper understanding on our finances is what allows us to create sustainable, scalable businesses. Because you cannot sustain a business if you've not learned how to manage the money, manage your investments, manage your costs, manage yourself as a human being, surviving and having 100K in your bank account. Because if you can sit in that and you don't see 100K and you're like, I'm going to spend this, I'm going to buy this, then you're good. Now you're ready to multiply. How can I turn the 100K or the 50K left over in my business to 100K? Now you're ready to multiply. Then once you've multiplied your money, then you move into now investing, right? Is it investing in a new channel for my people in the e-commerce business? Is it investing in a bigger, maybe a warehouse? Is it investing in a building? Is it just also just investing in your personal life to increase your net worth? But many of us don't know this. We make money, we see like 30K, 25K in our account, we spend it. And then now when you're spending it, if you're not spending it accurately, you feel like you're constantly doing the same thing over and over again in your business and not getting the growth that you want. Because we all have to understand, your mind leads, then your body follows. Your mind leads, then your body follows. And that's why I really wanted to do this training, because it's easy for you to see, hey, I have to be very decisive. I have to be willing to risk everything to fight for what I believe in. Then secondly, I have to be willing to invest in myself in order for me to see the growth. And then lastly, I have to also be willing to love profits. And when I'm saying love profits, I want you to love money, love sitting in abundance, so that I can manage it, my money, multiply it, and eventually give my business what it needs in order for it to scale. And all that happens at the same time with our personal growth, because we are driving our businesses, and our energy, our mindset, our state of being is the currency of being, is our biggest currency. It's our biggest asset. So if all that is not in place, no matter what you do, whether you keep ticking your boxes that I'm showing up, whether you keep posting, whether you keep tinkering in your website, nothing is going to move. This is a personal development journey, and you have to be willing to grow. You have to be willing to bet on yourself, and you have to be willing to believe bigger for you to attract that. Because when you work on that, everything else just becomes like just pocket change. Like, yeah, I know how to do this. I'm told how to do this. I look at this. I look at my numbers. I understand what it means. Then I move. But what happens is, if we've not really gotten to working on our mind and really working on ourselves, sometimes you can see a negative in your bank account, and what do? You freak out and you want to shut everything down. Instead of you having an understanding that, hey, this means nothing. This just means that, hey, my marketing and my sales has not been working well enough, so I need to go and double down on that. And that's why you need to start thinking about this process bigger than yourself. Why do I say this? Because for me, I'm a believer, and I know deeply that if you allow God to come in and step into what you truly want, He will charter the path for you. But if you stay in this process of trying to control everything, the next step, the next strategy, the next thing, you get tired. And that's why, for me, I usually say, and that's what I think, I can't remember this song. It's a praise and worship song that says, not by might, not by my power. And that's why you have to lean into this experience as a spiritual experience as well. Because if you can't hold on to the money that you have in your bank, if you are attaching your success to your accolades, to the amount of money that you have in your bank account, to the achievements that you've always had, both in your corporate job or outside of your corporate job, when those things are stripped away from you, you can easily feel like a nobody. And when you easily feel like a nobody, it manifests in your business. Why? When somebody comes and tells you that, hey, I didn't like the quality of your product, you beat yourself up, right? And if you've not even sold you anything, you keep saying, I'm not going to sell it because I don't know what people are going to say. Or if you're trying to get a new opportunity or new marketing channel, you're just like, I'm not going to walk into that room for fear of rejection. because I just don't want to be told no. And I say this to say, I'm done with my rambling. I say this to say that at the end of it all, your business growth cannot outpace your personal growth. And your personal growth, if you're a believer, is a deep spiritual relationship. It's a deep spiritual journey. And that is why in business, every successful person talks about leaping forward in faith. It's not a cute word, it's not a fancy thing, it's not a buzzword, because it's the reality. And faith means for allowing in the how. For allowing in the how with your cash being strapped, but you're still showing up. For allowing in the how of taking the first step and then the journey shows up. For allowing in the how of doing what is required for you to see a different level of success. It's for allowing in that how of the how that you're trying to see before you take that step. This is that journey. And all of us, don't be fooled. If somebody comes and tells you they didn't go through this, they're lying to you. We have to, all of us, go through. I'm going through it. I keep going through it. I know I will keep going through it, because my business, what I'm trying to put out here, is bigger than me. It has nothing to do with me. And because of how big this vision is, I know I can't do it by my own might or my own power. And so everything I do is a step-by-step thing. It's a step of faith. It's like when Peter was told to walk up the sea. It's like he took the first step, the storms came, then he got very scared. And then that's when Jesus asked him, why were you afraid? Be courageous. That's the same process. And you will feel that 89% of the time if you're in the growth stage. I can tell you that. And that is why getting somebody who can see the mistakes, who can guide you from your mistakes, who can support you. Because sometimes it's not about the strategy. And that's that one thing I love about the community I've created. And I can see my clients here. The thing about the community I've curated and I'll continue curating, and I'm very careful about how I'm curating and moving forward this year, because I said I want to be the Sephora of the coaching space, is I want us to be okay supporting each other, and also okay when things don't work well, because we know that we have to go through this personal development first, and then everything is going to work. And that's why, like, I think even Kara is starting to talk about this in our programs, is we're going to lean in a lot into our feminine energy. Because building our businesses with the masculine, the grind, the do this, the next thing, or you tell me the next thing, doesn't take you anywhere. But if you can sit in and ask yourself, what is true to me? Like, what is true to me? Do I like doing this? If you don't like doing it, there's so many other ways to do something. Because you have to feel into it for something to work. And that's a hard lesson I had to learn. It's a hard lesson Kara had to learn. And we said that we're going to really infuse that into everything we do from 2022 and beyond. Because we cannot forget that these businesses are being built and created by human beings. They're not being built and created by machines. And so it's important for us to honor our season, but also for us to identify what are the areas we need to work on from a personal level, so that the strategic level or the business side, the whole operational level, can work. And so thank you all for joining me. Just to recap on what we talked about, what's required to play with the big boys and the big girls is, number one, really understanding the power of being decisive and asking yourself, am I willing to do what it takes to make this business work? Because this concept was inspired by the documentary of Being Serena Williams. You can go and watch it on HBO. And her coach asked her, are you willing to stop breastfeeding, to let go of the body fat that you have so that you can keep winning the Grand Slam? And she did that. Secondly, she also packed her bags from the US, went to France, to the tennis academy to refine her skill. So she was willing to do everything, give up everything, her comfort zone, in order for her to be a champion. So, what are you willing to do for your business? Secondly, I talked about investing in yourself, having a deeper level of mastery in every facet of your business. And if you don't have that deeper level of mastery, hire somebody, get into masterminds to teach you this. Because scaling is not guesswork, scaling is a science. And lastly, I talked about learning how to love your profits, but fundamentally learning how to love looking at your numbers and understanding what those numbers mean. And then the last thing, which was like a bonus, was I literally said, your mind leads, then your body follows. Meaning, your mind leads, then your strategy will follow. So you need to ask yourself, what is it you're resisting? What is it you're tolerating? Whatever you're tolerating should be on your delete list. Whatever you're resisting is what you need to move forward in faith. Take that leap of faith, and then how unfolds. And so, for anyone who's looking to take their business to the next level, meaning you've gotten to just about 10K per month and you're looking to get to 20K per month in your e-commerce business, I invite you to book a call with me. Just to click the link in my bio, and let's have a conversation. Let's give you the clarity on. Let's move you away from the maybe. For me, my goal is for you to come to the call and either be a yes or a no. Whenever you're a maybe, you're stuck in an indecisiveness. Why? Because in that call, you get the clarity on what you need to work on, and then also decide if this is what you're willing to do. I'd rather you know what you're supposed to do than keep guesstimating and guessing your way through this thing. So click the link in my bio, and I look forward to speaking with you. As always, have a lovely week and have a lovely afternoon. Bye-bye.